Hello and welcome back to the Orlando Adventures podcast. I'm your host Russ, and today marks a very, very special episode. This is the Adventurers Assemble one. So as a lot of you might know by now, I've basically got all of the previous guests and a couple of extra people as well to send in some Q&A questions. I know that everybody loves the Q&A, so I figured why not do a Q&A, but kind of let's do this a bit different. So I've got everybody to send a question in, so thank you so much to every single person who took the time to send me a question. Because I know, as much as anything, I've probably been such a pain over the past probably like month to 6 weeks because I've been chasing these videos up. I really wanted to make something special for the 50th episode, but I also, as much as anything, this is kind of what epitomizes the Orlando Adventures and Orlando Adventures podcast. I basically wanted to have this massive episode including everyone. I wanted to go out of my way to try and make this extra special and have everybody who's been on the podcast or I've been on their podcast to come on and be in one place. So hence the Adventurers Assemble title. I just wanted to get everyone together in one place. So without further ado, let's crack on with the questions, and I hope you all enjoy it.
Hello Russ.
Hello.
From
Magic Kingdom.
So Russ, we want to ask you a question. What got you into starting your own podcast?
And why? What inspired you and why?
Let us know.
That's what we'd like to know, please.
Question number one comes from none other than Tom and Jess. T&J Travels, what a pair of legends. I've got so much time for both of these. I love them to bits. I think they are brilliant. I have got genuinely so much respect for the two of them. I think that they are smashing it. They are smashing it in every capacity. Their current series, obviously, episode 1 came out last Sunday. Honestly, I think it's the best travel day vlog I've seen, and I'm gonna be real on that. I think that is the best one. I think that they are absolutely on fire at the moment. So if you don't watch them, I don't know where you've been, but like go and check out their YouTube because they are so good. They really, really are. And what a nice couple. They are two of the nicest, most genuine people on this platform. So I'm so appreciative of both of them. I really, really am. They've done so much for me and the podcast that honestly I can't thank them enough. So their question is, why did I start the podcast? Well, as much as anything, I was looking for a podcast myself to listen to. I was looking for a podcast where I could get information on everything. Not just Disney, not just Universal, not just kind of like food, I wanted everything. And you know what? I kind of looked at it and thought, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can be the guy. Maybe I can be the guy who does that. But I was looking for podcasts potentially where my favourite YouTubers and like kind of Instagrammers and content creators would go to and would be on. But I genuinely couldn't really find many. And that's not to say they're not out there, because they absolutely are. But I wanted to do it on a different level, and I hope that is exactly what I'm doing. I mean, this episode alone, being the Adventurers Assemble one, has over 20 guests, content creators, YouTubers, Instagrammers, in one episode. So I hope that we've done something special, and that as much as anything is why I wanted to do this podcast, because I wanted to bring this community together. I wanted to be able to kind of have this as a hub as much as anything, for everyone to kind of come into one place. There's all this kind of information in one area, but we've also got all of these fantastic guests coming on. The guest episodes, they're not about me. And I never ever will try to make them about me. They are not about me. They are always about the guests. And I love those episodes so much. I've said that an awful lot. Hence why we're doing an episode like this one, because I want to be able to say thank you to everyone that's come on the podcast. Great question. On to the next one.
Welcome home, you have.
Hi Russ, congratulations on 50 shows. My question for you is, tell me your rankings of best to worst in terms of the Universal icons. So we've got Universal Studios, the Lighthouse of Islands of Adventure, or Krakatoa at Volcano Bay.
Next question comes from Sam of 2 3/4. So Sam, again, fantastic guy. I'm going to say this to everyone, by the way. So like, because I genuinely believe it, everyone I've had on has been fantastic. But Sam, like, fantastic guy. I had such a great chat with Sam, and if he's up for it, I'm up for having another episode and another chat with him at another point, because I think we barely scratched the surface, if I'm up to be honest with you. Really, really great guy. A lot of time for Sam, and he has done a wicked video with a wicked question. He has asked me, out of the Universal icons, being the kind of like the Universal Globe, the Lighthouse Islands of Adventure, and also Krakatoa Volcano Bay, where would I rank them? So I would rank the Globe at Universal at number 1. It's iconic. It's that amazing photo op, which I know is probably the biggest pain of a photo op to try and get. It looks fantastic. It epitomizes to me Universal. So that goes in at number 1, easy one. The second one, bit more difficult, because I'm going to have to put one of these in last. However, for me, number 2, I'm going Krakatoa at Volcano Bay. And I'm going to do that based on the sheer scale of the thing. The fact that they have built a volcano in the middle of a theme park is ludicrous. And it looks amazing. I love it. I love Volcano Bay. I'm going to put that in at number 2, which amazingly means I'm going to put the Lighthouse at Islands of Adventure in at number 3. And considering that is probably my favourite park, is probably a little bit of a surprise, but I am going with that. I'm going to go with Lighthouse at number 3, and that's only based on the fact that I think that the other two are even more epic. Great question. On to the next one.
Hey Russ, firstly we'd just like to say congratulations on 50 episodes of the Orlando Adventures podcast. It only seems like yesterday the first episode was recorded, and ever since then it just keeps getting better and better. We love listening to it every week. We look forward to it every week, and we just want to say thank you so much for inviting us to be guests on the show. We had an absolute blast talking about everything Orlando. Let's be totally honest, that's why we're all in this community, and that's why we all love talking about our favourite subjects. So brilliant work, my friend. So, in regards to the question, me and Emma thought hard about this one, and we knew it was going to be we both knew it was going to be a HHN question. So, our question for you is, if you could go back in time and visit any previous year at Halloween Horror Nights, which one would you pick and why? Really looking forward to hearing the answer. Once again, congratulations on all the success you've had with the podcast. We honestly wish you so much happiness, and we really hope the pod just continues to grow the way it has. So thank you very much, my friend, and we will see you very soon.
Next question comes from Ashley of Ashley and Emma. What a guy. What a guy. Like I've had a lot of chats with Ashley over the past few months. He has been so supportive of the channel. But like, genuinely, I talk to Ashley daily, like, great guy. We have all chats Orlando and beyond as well. So like, I've got so much time for him, and Emma as well. Fantastic couple. Loved having them on. Fantastic news on them having a baby. I'm so excited for you both. That's obviously happening early next year, so really, really excited. Congratulations. And your question, it was always going to be Halloween Horror Nights themed. You have asked me if I could go back to a year of Halloween Horror Nights, which year would it be and why? And as soon as you asked me this question, I knew it immediately. 2018. And the reason why, 2018 if I've got my facts straight here, 2018 was the first year that they had Stranger Things as a house at Halloween Horror Nights. I am a massive Stranger Things fan, and I think for me, I'd love to have like experienced the next one in 2019, which I think was based on 2 and 3, and then the other one last year, which was based on series 4. Yeah, honestly, it all started with season 1 for Stranger Things for me, and like that's what kind of drew me into it. That's what made me love it, and I would have loved to have done that house. I think that would have been absolutely fantastic. It'd be such a big draw for me. Genuinely, I love it, and I think that it's such a great thing that Universal have been able to kind of strike these deals with like companies such as Netflix and other companies as well. They've obviously managed to build a good relationship with some of these other companies to use their properties. I mean, it's a great idea. I mean, it was a great idea of a house, and obviously I love the IP. So I'm going 2018 because of Stranger Things.
Hey Russ, Adam from the Devonshire Diz here. Massive congratulations on making it to 50 episodes of the Orlando Adventures podcast. Looking forward to the next 50 and beyond, and it was a privilege to be one of the first episodes that you dropped on this amazing podcast of yours. Here's my question. If you could interview one Disney character for an upcoming episode on your podcast, who would it be and why? Use your imagination. Congrats again, mate.
Next up, Adam from the Devonshire Diz. Devonshire Diz, so another podcast in this space, in this community. Fantastic podcast, fantastic guy. Like, again, a bit like Ashley, fantastic support, amazing support of myself. I talk to Adam very frequently. We've had some fantastic chats. I've got a lot of time for him. Really, really top guy. So please do go and check out his content. And it's a great question. He's asked me to use my imagination as well. So he's asked me which Disney character, if I could, would I interview for the podcast? Well, you've asked me to go outside the box. So exactly what I'm going to do. And I thought maybe I can go for like mainstream Disney characters. Well, I thought maybe let's go for properties which Disney own. And we all know I'm a massive Marvel fan. So I'm going Marvel because that's owned by Disney. Whether or not that kind of aligns with what you were thinking, but I go a Marvel character, and I could probably go for an easy choice like Iron Man, Captain America, something like that. I'm going Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, I think what a fantastic guest he could be on the podcast. I think we'd have a good laugh. I think we'd have a good little vibe going, and yeah, I think that would be entertaining to say the least. So that's where I would go. I'm going Ant-Man. It might be a little bit left field, but you know what? You asked me to use my imagination, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So great question. Thank you so much for your support as ever. On to the next one.
Hi Russ.
Hi.
Congratulations on getting to your 50th episode.
We have a question for you. What are you most excited for at, what is it called?
Epic Universe.
So what are you most excited for at Epic Universe?
Ellie and Mitchell, like genuinely, I've watched this one so many times because it makes me laugh every single time. And genuinely, I mean, what a couple. What a couple. They were so funny. They are fantastic. They're two of the nicest people. Love them to bits. They have asked me at Epic Universe, what am I looking forward to most? Easy. Absolutely easy. Ministry of Magic. I am so excited. I love Harry Potter, as you all know. Big Harry Potter fan. And I'm so excited for Ministry of Magic. I think that genuinely the sheer scale that this thing is going to be will be out of this world. I am so excited for it. I really, really am. I'm buzzing. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see how we end up entering the ministry. That to me blows my mind. Like genuinely, the thought of kind of going through like the Flu network, through the flames, into the Ministry of Magic. I don't understand how we're going to do it, but I am absolutely buzzed for it. So great question. Appreciate you so much. On to the next one.
Hi Ross, it's Roland Holidays here.
Thank you so much for having us on your 50th episode of the podcast.
And our big question for you is,
if you were to choose one snack only from both Disney and Universal that you could only eat for the rest of your visits, what would it be?
Next up was Danny and Vicky from Roll On Holidays. What a sweet couple. Like, they are fantastic. I love these two to bits, honestly. Their travel day vlog from their last series, going to Orlando, their Walmart trip, honestly, it makes me smile because they absolutely epitomised all of us going into Walmart. So if you haven't seen it, that is such a great travel day vlog. On to their question. They have asked me if I could have one snack from Disney or Universal for the rest of my trips, what would it be? This is a hard one. I've had a long, hard think on this one, and I've come up with one. I am going Diagon Alley. I am going to Florian Fortescue's ice cream parlour, and I am getting a Granny Smith flavoured ice cream. Love a Granny Smith, love an ice cream, love a Harry Potter themed ice cream. That's where I'm going. I absolutely love it. I think it's top tier. Every single time I go, I've got to go and get it. I'm probably the only person who gets it, but you know, I love a sour apple flavoured ice cream. Like, what are you gonna do? But yeah, great question. Absolutely love it. But I'm going for Florian Fortescue's. That's my shout.
We said forever, forever means nothing if we don't give it all we got. We can cry when it's over.
Hi Russ, it's Stephen and Chloe from the Parks and Pals podcast, and here's our question for you.
If you could only go to one theme park in Orlando for the rest of your life, what theme park would it be? In Orlando, obviously. Orlando Adventures.
That's a tricky one.
Chloe and Stephen, Parks and Pals. Yeah. What more can I say? I love Parks and Pals so much. As I've said many times, like, the two of them are brilliant. Honestly, they are. I love their podcast. If you haven't listened to it, go and get on it. They were my first guest on the podcast, so I owe a lot to them, genuinely. For another podcast to be the first guest on the podcast, like, full respect. Absolutely. And the two of them, I love them to bits. I think they're absolutely brilliant. Again, I've got a little bromance going on with Stephen over there. We've got a lot of similarities and likes, and yeah, really, really great couple. They have asked me if I could only go to one theme park in Orlando for the rest of my days, what park would it be? I think I've had to think long and hard, and there's a fairly obvious answer for me. And I think I'm going to go with the obvious. And it's got to be Islands of Adventure. It's got to be for me because, as I always say, this is the one park where there is so much that I love to do personally. So for the rest of my days, I'm going to be a happy man going on Velocicoaster, going on Hagrid's, going on Doctor Doom, and many, many other things as well. But that is going to tip it for me. Velocicoaster and Hagrid's tip it all day long. So great question. Keep doing what you're doing. Love the podcast. On to the next one.
Hey up, Rust Love. Congrats on 50 episodes. Our question for you is, if you could have that feeling of going on a ride in Orlando at any park for the first time again, what ride would that be?
Ooh. James and Ben, amazing. Live with James and Ben. I said this at the end of their episode. I have not laughed as much as I did in their episode in a long time. Honestly, when Ben was saying about his hidden gem being standing at the bottom of Dudley Do Rights and shooting people with water, honestly had me crying. Like, I honestly did. I had tears in my eyes What a lovely couple. They are absolutely brilliant. I loved talking to them. I talk to James quite frequently, and honestly, what a great couple. What a great couple of guys. They are fabulous, and their content is wicked as well. So please go and check them out. They have asked me if I could have the feeling of going on one ride again for the first time, what would it be? Again, I had to think long and hard. I think it's such a good question. And I kept coming back to one. And it's Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. That ride, that first time I did it, honestly, different level. I don't think I've ever came off a ride and just been smiling and laughing so much as I did. Honestly, what a ride. I absolutely love it. If I could have that first feeling again, it would be Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
Congratulations, Ross, on 50 episodes of the Orlando Adventures podcast. So my question to you is, if there was going to be a new thing coming to Orlando, whether it be a new land in an existing theme park, maybe a whole new theme park, or just something new to do in Orlando, what would you like to see?
Next up is Sophie from Most Magical Guides. I'm sure a lot of you have seen her podcast, so another podcaster. She's got a fabulous page on Instagram, a YouTube as well, smashing it, absolutely smashing it in every capacity. Love her question. She has basically said, if I could bring one thing, whether or not it be a ride, an attraction, a land, to Orlando, what would it be? A little bit off the back of what I was saying in Ashley and Emma's question, I'd bring Stranger Things. If I could bring an IP to a park, and it would probably obviously be a Universal park, I'd bring Stranger Things, but I would bring a Stranger Things attraction. I would love to be able to kind of go into the Upside Down as a ride, and that be a constant fixture in the park. I think it would be fantastic. I think that it could lend itself really well to being like a constant dark horror style ride without being a full horror ride. I think that you could still appreciate and enjoy this kind of thing without liking horror. I think a lot of people probably do like Stranger Things who aren't into horror necessarily. So I think it would be a really good shout. That is something I'd love to see. Whether or not we'll ever see it, I'm not sure. They might have potentially missed the boat on it at this point, considering Stranger Things, the final season comes out next year. So maybe, but at the same time, we're getting a new Harry Potter land, and Harry Potter finished over 10 years ago. So you never know. I'd go Stranger Things. I love it. I think that would be an absolute shout.
Hi Russell, hope you're well. My question for you is, if you could spend 24 hours in Orlando with an unlimited budget, how would you spend your day?
So next up is Sarah from Orlando and me. I loved our episode. I loved it so much. She was absolutely brilliant. I think she's fantastic, smashing it over on TikTok. Really, really lovely person, and a great question. If I kind of had an unlimited budget to go and spend a day in Orlando, what would I do? Trying to think a little bit outside the box here. I think I'd try and do a 6-part challenge. 6-part challenge, but I am going to eat and drink my way around every park as well. So I am just going to be going into every which kind of like restaurant and snack place, and I'm going to be picking up anything and everything I can, getting a few drinks along the way. It'll be a heavy day, I'm not going to lie, but it'll be decent. I think that's where I'd go. I'd love to be able to go around all the parks and experience kind of all of the best bits of everything. So I'm being totally greedy. I want to do the lot. Great question.
Hi Ross, I hope you're well. It's Steve here from Steve's Disney Adventures. Congratulations on your awesome 50th episode. I'm sure we'll all be here doing it again when you get to 250 and then 500. My question for you is, if you could bring back any closed Disney attraction, which would it be and why?
Steve from Steve's Disney Adventures loved our episode. I loved it. Great guy again. Fantastic guy. So easy to talk to, but also what an interesting guy. Like, I wanted to go off on tangents galore with Steve, and I had to like refrain and keep myself on track because there were so many things I wanted to talk to Steve about. Like the moment he mentioned the Ultimate Warrior, like legend, and I made no, it's no secret. I've been a big wrestling fan over the years, so like the moment Steve mentioned that, I was buzzing, and the amount of people who messaged me about that as well, and I'm sure messaged Steve off the back of that. Great, interesting guy. Really nice guy. Got a lot of time for Steve. Great question. If I could bring back a retired Disney ride, what would it be? Well, we actually mentioned this ride in his episode, I believe, and it was the Alien Extraterrestrial Encounter or Attack. The Alien ride that used to be in Magic Kingdom. I actually mentioned it in the closed rides of Magic Kingdom episode a couple of weeks ago. If I could bring it back, a ride back, it would be that one. And the reason why is because what a unique idea. What a unique idea that we don't have in a park as well. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it fits Magic Kingdom in any capacity, but at the same time, like, I think the idea of that ride and just the kind of setup of it would work nowadays. I think that in the modern day that we're in now, where people like love things like Halloween Horror Nights and stuff, I think something like a permanent fixture of a more scary ride could work really well. So that would be the one that I'd bring back.
Russ, how we doing, mate? Thank you for asking me to fire a question over to you for your 50th episode. I cannot believe this is your 50th episode and how quickly you've rattled them out. So congrats on that. But I spent a bit of time debating what to ask you, and then D23 came about, and they really put the cat amongst the pigeons when they announced that Tom Sawyer's Island Rivers in America was probably going to go in order for cars to make their way into the Magic Kingdom. And it got me thinking, what ride or attraction that you loved or enjoyed was worth losing in order to get what the end result or the replacement was? And conversely, is there any ride or attraction that you look back on now and think, oh, it was not worth losing this to get that we've got now? So 50 down, mate. Can't wait for the next 50. Keep them coming.
Next up is James from Snacks, Beers and Mickey Ears. Me and James, we had a long old chat when we did our episode. Honestly, we were on for a while. And this is one of the main things I love about this podcast. All of the people I've had on as guests, you're all absolutely brilliant, but we've never met each other. So the fact that you basically take a punt on me and you come on the podcast and go, you know what, I'm going to chat with this guy who I've never talked to in face to face. So when we do, and it just kind of like works and it flows, amazing. And that's everyone. But James especially, like, we were chatting as if we have known each other for 20 years. It was amazing. It was a fantastic episode. It really was. I loved talking to James. I talk to James frequently, like I do with everyone, to be fair, at this point. But I talk to James an awful lot. We've had an ongoing conversation for about 6 months at this point. So yeah, great guy. Really top guy. And his question was, out of all of the rides we've got, in terms of a ride we lost, what was kind of worth losing it for what replaced it? And then the flip side of that as well. I'm going to Universal. Obviously, Disney haven't replaced as many rides as Universal have over the years. So Universal have got more examples of this. In terms of a ride I loved that I'm not sad with what replaced it, it's Jaws. I loved Jaws. Jaws is such a highlight of my childhood. It had so much nostalgia for me. I love going back and watching videos of the Jaws ride. But Diagon Alley is different level. Diagon Alley and Escape from Gringotts, fantastic. So it's a fairly easy choice for me on that. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And the flip side of that, what did we get that potentially isn't as great for what it replaced? Well, we go next door, funnily enough, literally next door to Diagon Alley, to Fast and Furious. I like the Fast and Furious franchise. I've said this an awful lot over the past few months. I love the franchise, but that ride can get in the bin at this point. Like, the fact that it replaced Beetlejuice Graveyard Review, which I went and saw a number of times, but I wouldn't say I was a huge fan of it, but I enjoyed it. And also Earthquake, disaster. Not sure which one it was. Can't remember at this point. Whichever iteration it was when it closed. I think it was Earthquake. That, honestly, the fact that we lost 2 attractions for Fast and Furious is baffling to me, because Fast and Furious is the biggest miss that Universal have had in such a long time.
Hi Russ, Dom here from Wookiees on Tour. Massive congratulations on getting to 50 episodes in the Orlando Adventures podcast. Well done, that's good going. I mean, it's an amazing podcast. Absolutely love it. It's the thing that I look forward to listening to on my journey to work. I've got a long commute to work, so it's nice to have something I can sit there and listen to for the whole journey. So yeah, well done. The content and the people you're getting on there are brilliant. It's lovely to have it as part of the community. So my question to you is, if you could put one new ride in at Galaxy's Edge, what would it be? So this can be a ride, it could be a simulator, space is no issue, they will find space for it, whatever it is. So one new ride to go in at Galaxy's Edge, what would it be? All the best, mate, and look forward to all the future podcasts.
Wookiees on Tour, another top guy, absolute top guy. Again, I have a lot of conversations with Dom. Really, really nice guy. Like, what I will say, his current YouTube series, smashing it out of the park. Great guy. I loved our episode. We had some really, really good chats. His really unfortunate story for him with regards to his travel day was so interesting to hear about. And I know quite a lot of you have said that to me, and conversely said that to Dom as well. Like, honestly, it sounds like a nightmare, but it's a great story to tell. It's luckily he had a fantastic trip and he was going to Orlando, so you can go to Orlando and all your worries disappear when you get there. So absolutely top guy, loved recording with him. And his question is, if I could add something into Galaxy's Edge, what would it be? Again, I had a long think about this one because I love Galaxy's Edge. I love it as it is, but could it do with something else? I reckon it probably could. And I was kind of umming and ahhing about, what if we put something that involved lightsabers in there? And I was like, I physically can't understand or appreciate or work out how we would do it. However, we could do something like a shooter ride of some sort. So I'm thinking something like Men in Black. I'm thinking of a kind of Space Ranger spin kind of setup. You could have like blasters of some sort, and there could be stormtroopers and kind of different aliens and stuff like that kind of running around that you can get. I'm thinking something in the scale and the size, with kind of more live kind of looking props and animatronics, a bit like Rise of the Resistance. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That's what's in my mind, and that's what I think would be absolutely fantastic in Galaxy's Edge. And I think it could be feasible as well. I always try to think of something that might be slightly realistic in this kind of situation, not just like, let's go and put the biggest roller coaster that's ever existed in there, because like I'd rather try and think of something more realistic. So I'm going a bit more of a shooter kind of attraction in Galaxy's Edge.
Russ, Jay here from Universally Speaking. Congratulations on making it to 50 episodes. You're absolutely smashing it. Very privileged to be one of the first guests you had on. I'm sure you'll get to 100 in no time. So my question for you is, if you could only ride one ride at Universal Orlando Resort for the rest of time, but you couldn't choose Hagrid's or Velocicoaster, which ride would you choose and why?
Next up is Jay from Universally Speaking, another great guy. Second guest on the actual podcast. Fantastic guy. And what I will say is his stories when he was in Orlando earlier this year were absolutely top tier. Like, honestly, I felt like I was there. I was waking up looking forward to looking at Jay's story, because I knew that he was covering everything in the parks. So absolute full props to him on that. It was fantastic. Every day, just so much content, seeing it in and around Universal and Islands of Adventure. He has asked me, if I could only ride one ride in Islands, but it can't be Velocicoaster and Hagrid's, what would it be? And I thought about Doctor Doom. I've got to think about Doctor Doom. It's always there in the back of my mind. But I've settled on Jurassic Park River Adventure. I adore this ride. I absolutely love it. It doesn't matter how many times I go on it. Fantastic. Honestly, it is one of my favourite rides. It makes me so happy. It makes me laugh. It makes me smile. When the animatronics are working well, it's even better. But I will always enjoy that drop at the end. That it will never get old. It really, really won't. So Jurassic Park River Adventure.
Hi Ross.
Hi. Happy 50th episode. Congratulations.
So we have a question for you. We were wondering if you could pick any attraction in Walt Disney World and re-theme it, what would you pick and what would you re-theme it to?
Next up is Kim and Dan from Wizards and Walt. Another fabulous couple. I've got so much time for these two. They are fantastic. I love their content. They were so fantastic to speak to. So a lot of time for them both. They really, really are brilliant. So if you haven't watched their content, go and get on it because they are brilliant. They have asked if I could re-theme any Disney attraction, what would it be and what would I re-theme it to? This is tough. This is a tough one, but I kept going back to one. When I was thinking of this, and I know this isn't going to happen. So I know I've just said in the Wookiees on Tour question about trying to keep something realistic. Well, I know this isn't going to happen, but I'm going to go for it anyway. The ride that I would re-theme, and this is a bit of a weird one because it's already being redone, is Test Track. I would redo Test Track, and I would redo Test Track to a Cars theme. I think that let's get away from this kind of like Test Track idea and let's get to just something different. And I think that something like Cars lends itself so well to potentially the layout of the Test Track attraction as it is. I think you could make it heavily themed. You could have the cool bits inside as it is, but obviously themed differently. And then you could have the whole bit outside where you're imitating Lightning McQueen or whatever you're doing on the outside bit and make it quicker as well. That's where I would go. I think it's a great question, but I would re-theme Test Track to Cars.
Hey Russ, it's Jade here from Time for Jade. I have a question for you for the 50th episode of the Orlando Adventures podcast. It's a keep, update or close question with Hagrid's, Guardians or Doctor Doom's Fearful. Please let us know which one you'd keep, update or close. Also, just want to say a huge congratulations on how well the podcast is doing. So proud of you, and please keep the episodes coming.
Next up is Time for Jade. I've said this quite a few times. What an absolute pillar of this community. She is fantastic. She is one of the most wonderful people on these platforms. On Instagram, she is so supportive of everyone. And then that being said, she is being so mean with the choices for this keep, update or close. But I love it. I do love it. She has given me Guardians, Hagrid's and Doctor Doom's Fearful. She could have gone super mean and gone Guardians, Hagrid's and Velocicoaster, at which point I would have lost it. I genuinely would. She's still been super mean because I think she knows where I'm going to have to go on this. I've got to close Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom's gone. I cannot. There is no world, and I love Doctor Doom, as we all know at this point, but I cannot justify keeping Doctor Doom over Cosmic Rewind or Hagrid's. There is no way, absolutely no world in which that is at all possible. So Doctor Doom is gone. I keep Guardians as it is. I think Guardians is a fantastic ride. I think as it is perfect, and I will update Hagrid's. I've said a few times that I love Hagrid's. I adore Hagrid's. I think it's a brilliant ride. But I will say that the animatronics are not the best out there. So I think they can do better with the animatronics. I'm a little bit sad and a little bit disappointed that they haven't. And that is what I would do. That is what I would do to update in these choices.
Hi Hi Russ.
Hi, Russ.
And congratulations on 50 episodes
Yeah,
and for how
fantastic.
well the podcast is doing. We're absolutely loving it. So our question for you is...
If you could create a theme park what's already there, what would you choose and why?
Yeah, so what would be your ideal theme park of everything that already exists? If you could combine it all into one, what would you do? Thank you.
Cheers.
Next question comes from Kimberly and Dan, the Hambletons, Kimberly's Journey. These two are fantastic. Two absolutely wonderful people. Genuinely loved our episode, loved talking to them both. They are absolutely brilliant. They are absolutely brilliant. So please do go and check their YouTube out because they've got some fabulous series out there. They're really, really good. I rate them so much. They are absolutely fantastic. And to get into their question was basically, if I could take something from every park, so I'm going to go with the 4 Disney and the 2 Universal, in terms of if I could take something to make kind of a mega hybrid park, what would I put in it? Well, let's start with Islands of Adventure. I'm taking Velocicoaster, so that can get straight in my park. Going over to Epcot, Cosmic Rewind, straight in my park as well. And Hollywood Studios, Rise of the Resistance, get over there as well. So we've got a couple of coasters. We've got an outdoor big coaster, we've got an indoor coaster, and we've got a kind of simulated trackless ride. So that's my kind of main 3. We then go Animal Kingdom. I'm going to go Expedition Everest. That is going to be my choice from Animal Kingdom. Magic Kingdom, I'm going to go for Pirates of the Caribbean. It's an absolute classic. It's a nostalgia trip for me. I love it. It makes me smile every single time. Everyone loves the smell as well. And the final attraction I'm going to have is going to be from Universal Studios. And the ride I'm going to pick is Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. So just to summarise, we've got Velocicoaster, we've got Jurassic World, we've got Harry Potter, Escape from Gringotts, we've got Pirates of the Caribbean from Magic Kingdom, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy from Epcot, we've got Rise of the Resistance from Hollywood Studios, and we have got Expedition Everest from Animal Kingdom.
Hi Ross, first of all congratulations on your 50th podcast episode. I'm going to hand over to David who's going to ask you our question.
So just in your podcast style, I've got a keep, close and update, but theme parks this time. So what theme park in Orlando or the Central Florida area would you keep, would you close and would you update? And the ones that you would update, what would you do to them?
Next question is from Scotland to Florida. Amy and David, they have asked me such a difficult question, but they are such a wonderful couple. Honestly, I've got so much time for both of them. They are absolutely brilliant. Loved our episode, loved chatting to them both, loved their content. Honestly, go and check out their latest series. It's brilliant. I love it. They are 2 absolutely wonderful people, and honestly, if I get the opportunity to chat with them again, I'll be absolutely buzzing for it because we had such a lovely episode. I really did enjoy it. So their question, they were asking me if I could basically do a keep, update or close on the parks of Central Florida. So I'm going to pick the 4 Disney parks, I'm going to pick the 2 Universal parks, and I'm going to put SeaWorld in there as well. The cop-out answer from me would be to close SeaWorld or to not close anything at all. I don't work that way. I'm not going to do that. If I could, I'd say if I had to close a park in Central Florida, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to close Animal Kingdom. I'm going to close Animal Kingdom. I'm so sorry. I know. But this isn't going to happen, so don't worry about it. But if I was absolutely pressed to close a park, I close Animal Kingdom. The parks that I keep as they are, I'm going to keep Islands of Adventure, I'm going to keep Hollywood Studios, and I'm going to keep Epcot. Therefore, I will update SeaWorld, Magic Kingdom, and Universal Studios. SeaWorld, just keep bringing more rides. Keep bringing more big rides to replace other attractions. Magic Kingdom, I think exactly what they've basically got planned with D23. Just do that. Do that. Maybe do something with Space Mountain. And then Universal Studios, basically from where Simpsons is, Simpsons, Men in Black, I'm sorry, and where Fear Factor is, that whole back corner of the park basically needs an entire revamp, in my opinion. I'm not saying get rid of Men in Black, but certainly update it at this point for me. I love it, but if we're being hard pressed, I'm going to say that that is an update. So that is going to be my choice.
Hello, Russ, and happy 50th to the Orlando Adventures podcast. You asked me to ask you a question since I've appeared on the podcast. So my question is Star Wars related, but a quick fire question, because I love movie soundtracks as much as the next person. So I want to know quickly, what is your favourite track from episodes 1 to 9? Keep up with the good work with the podcast, and I enjoyed being on the podcast. Hopefully we can talk more about Star Wars soon. So keep on trucking, doing really, really well, and really enjoy listening to it. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you. So thank you and goodbye.
Up is Chris from Chris Roosevelt's Chatter on Instagram. What a guy. My first ever episode of the Orlando Adventures and Beyond. So he is episode 1 of that. And what a great guy, what a great episode. I loved chatting with Chris. He is fantastic. Such a nice guy, genuinely. And I learned so much about Disneyland Paris from Chris as well. I loved it. He honestly is brilliant. So if you don't follow him, please go and check him out, because he is such a wonderful, wonderful part of this community. His question, and it panicked me, I'm going to be honest with you, he panicked me with telling me to answer it quick. I can't remember names of songs very well, so I'm going to struggle. But I'm basically, the ones I can think of, I'll tell you those. So he's asked me my top theme songs from the Star Wars films. There's 9 films, so I'm never going to remember 9 songs, I'm sorry. But the first one I go for is the standard Star Wars theme. Okay, that is just the main theme. Then the next theme is the Anakin versus Obi-Wan theme, if I remember it correctly. That's pretty awesome. Next one after that is the Imperial March, which is Darth Vader. Everyone knows that one. And then Rey's theme as well. That's where I'm going. That's the 4 I can think of. There's loads more, but I can't think of any other names of them. But it's such a great question, and I loved chatting with Chris, and I'm sure we can have a long chat about Star Wars at some point. And we need to get Chris over to Orlando to go on Rise of the Resistance, because he will be in his element on that ride. And genuinely, I'd love to see his reaction to that ride.
Hey, Rosie here from Theme Park Traveller on Instagram. First of all, congratulations to you on your 50th episode, Russ. That's amazing. I'm so happy for you, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for the Orlando Adventures podcast. So with that, I have a question for you. And that is, if you could do any behind the scenes tour of any attraction in Orlando. So I'm talking roller coasters, I'm talking dark rides, I'm talking shows, just whatever it is, just let your imagination go wild. What would you pick and why?
Next up is Rosie, Theme Park Traveller. Rosie, I absolutely loved our episode. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. We had such a long chat, and I'm not even joking. The chat I had with Rosie went on for like 2 hours. Like, genuinely, it went on for like 2 hours. We basically managed to talk about our top 10 lists for over an hour alone, let alone doing the actual kind of proper episode. But it was such a fun episode. It was a unique episode. So I hope everybody enjoyed that one. It was such a different setup, and I loved finding out what Rosie's top 10 rides in Orlando were as well. It was really interesting to compare. And Rosie has asked me, which attraction or ride would I choose to to kind of do a behind the scenes tour of? Well, the first thing that came to my mind, and the one I'm going to go with, is Rise of the Resistance. I'd love to see Rise of the Resistance from kind of behind the scenes. I'd love to see the operations of it. I'd love to see essentially what happens and how everything is done, because there's so many elements to Rise of the Resistance that I really want to know. And there's the whole thing of kind of like keeping the magic so that you kind of don't know how stuff's done. But with that ride in particular, I'm really, really intrigued. I'm really intrigued to know how a lot of the elements of that ride are actually done. Honestly, I think that the whole ride, the layout of it, just everything about it is amazing. As everyone knows, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. It's a great question, but I would go Rise of the Resistance.
Hi, we're Josh and LJ, and here is our question for you.
Out of the Halloween season, would you rather have a savoury or sweet treat?
And what has been your favourite treat from either Universal or Disney during the Halloween season?
Next up is Josh and LJ. Josh and LJ, the most recent guests on the podcast from Friday's episode. And what an episode. Loved it. I absolutely loved it. Two more fabulous guests. They are brilliant. I absolutely love them. I think that their Instagram's fantastic. Their YouTube's brilliant. Their Instagram genuinely makes me hungry. Like, if you have a little look on it, they eat some amazing looking foods. They really, really do. I'm very jealous. But they have asked me if I could go for a sweet or a savoury snack, what do I go for? It's so difficult because I love both, but I would probably lean towards a savoury. I love I'm pretty plain. I love a pretzel, love a corn dog. I'm a fairly plain guy in that kind of respect, but at the same time I do like funky flavour things. And they've asked me if I had like a top Halloween themed snack from Disney or Universal, which one would it be? Well, there was, I think it was 2015, there was a thing called a churro dog, I believe, and I'm pretty sure it was basically, I think it was like an eclair with a churro in. Need I say more? Like, unreal. Unless I dreamt of this. I'm sure of it. I'm sure it's a thing. But yeah, that would be my shout. Honestly, what an absolute, like, ridiculous snack. I'm all for, like, weird and wacky ideas for food. Like, give me a themed food of any sort. I'm all for it. Give me, like, a hybrid amalgamation of 2-3 different things, and I'll be all over it as well. So, great shout. Love it. On to the next one.
Now my wheels in motion and my windows open with the wind blowing in my hair. I'm driving down the highway, gonna do this my way. I can feel it in the air.
Hey Ross, it's Ben from the Great British Mickey Waffle. I just wanted to congratulate you on reaching 50 episodes of the Orlando Adventures podcast. What an amazing milestone. So, my question for you is that if you're in charge of the new Villains Land that's coming to Magic Kingdom, what would be your top tier attraction? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Next question, we have got Ben from the Great British Mickey Waffle. What a great guy. I was on the Great British Mickey Waffle as a guest a few months ago, and honestly, what a fantastic podcast. What a fantastic bunch of people. I love it. Absolutely love it. And Ben is so nice. What a fabulous guy. He obviously knows his stuff probably better than anyone. I'm going to be absolutely honest with you. What a legend. And his question, he's basically asked me, with the Villains Land coming to Magic Kingdom, what would I put in there as the feature attraction? Well, I had to think about it, and I'm trying to think of a villain to potentially centre this attraction around. And the villain that I've settled on is Hades from Hercules. An absolute fan favourite villain. I think that by having Hades as the kind of main villain of this ride will be really exciting. I think we could do a dark ride. I think we could do something based on kind of the underworld. Obviously, he's I believe, the god of death, I think. But yeah, so we can do something really dark. And I'm thinking something along the lines of maybe kind of Cosmic Rewind, but with more live props and based in this kind of like underworld of Hades. That's what I'm kind of thinking. That's what I would go for. They would go for a kind of style of attraction that they know works. That's the kind of way that they like to go. And that's what I do. I think that that would be a good shout and a good central kind of main attraction for the Villain's Land.
Hey there, Lee here from A Brit Travels. Congratulations, Russ, on 50 episodes of the Orlando Adventures podcast. What an achievement and what a fantastic addition to the Orlando fan community. We have loved listening to every single episode of the podcast and we look forward to listening to them all in the future. Now, we're here on location at Universal's Islands of Adventures because you've invited us back on, and thank you for that. We really appreciate it. Normally it's you asking the questions, but this time we're turning the tables on you. And one of the favourite questions that you love to ask is keep, update or close. And I'm sure one of your other guests on this episode will ask you keep, update or close rides throughout Orlando. Now here at Brit Travels we're going to do it a little bit differently, and we're going to do keep, update or close lands here at Universal's Islands of Adventure. A little bit differently. This is going to be tricky, Russ. So let's see what lands you've got to play with. So the first land we've got to keep, update and close is Marvel Superhero Island here. And there's a whole bunch of rides here. The first one we've got here is the Incredible Hulk roller coaster, which is pretty cool. We've then got one of your favourites, Dr. Doom's Fearful. We've got Storm Force Accelerator down the back. And then we've got one of the best dark rides in the world, The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. Keep, update or close. The next land we've got keep, update or close here is Jurassic Park. We've got the Incredible Velocicoaster. We've got Jurassic Park River Adventure. We've got Pterodon Flyers, which is kind of hit and miss at the moment. We've got the Raptor Encounter as well. So Russ, keep, update or close Jurassic Park. And finally, Russ, keep, update or close the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Hogsmeade Village, where we've got Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. We've got Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. We've got Flight of the Hippogriff over my shoulder here, and tons of cool shops and food and all things like that. So, difficult choice we've given you here. Keep, update or close Marvel Superhero Island, Jurassic Park, or the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Congrats on 50 episodes, mate.
Final question comes from A Brit Travels, and I wanted to save this epic video till last because the effort that Lee has gone to record this video for me, honestly, what a guy. What a guy. And if this doesn't showcase how good this guy's YouTube is, I don't know what will. Please go and check his YouTube out because his content is so good. It is so good. He is polished. He gives out amazing information. He's entertaining. He's got the lot. Great guy. Great guy. I've got so much time for him, and especially for the level of detail he went to with this video. Like, even trying to get the shots at different times when the rides are actually going. Amazing. So he's given me a keep, update or close, but on lands in IOA. So he has gone for Marvel Superhero Island, Jurassic Park, and Hogsmeade. Hogsmeade stays. That's the keep. Easy. Easiest one all day. For the second time in this episode, and I feel horrendous even saying it, Dr. Doom's Fearful is gone. Marvel Superhero Island is getting shut down. It's getting closed. See you later, because I cannot close Jurassic Park. I just can't. But I can update Jurassic Park. And if I've got to update it, then I will say that we update it so the entirety of it is now Jurassic World. I love the Jurassic Park elements, but maybe it's time to kind of bring it all up together so that it is all Jurassic World. So I keep Hogsmeade, I update Jurassic Park, and I close Marvel Superhero Island. And that's the questions. That is the questions done. And honestly, what an episode. What an episode. I put this message out maybe 6 weeks ago. Maybe 6 weeks ago, I put this message out and I basically sent an email to everyone who had been a guest on the podcast or I'd been on their podcast. And I basically said to them, I want to make this unbelievable episode where I can showcase all of the guests in one place. And everybody answered. And I know I've probably been such a pain over the past month chasing people up for these videos, but I just really, really wanted to make something special. And I wanted to make something special and be able to say thank you to everyone who's come on the podcast and been a guest, because genuinely, you've all been amazing. You really, really have. And I'm so appreciative to every single person who has taken the time to come and have a chat with me as a guest on the podcast. I love doing this. I absolutely adore doing this podcast. I adore talking to all of these fabulous guests. I really, really do. And without this podcast at this point, genuinely, I don't know where I'd be a little bit. I needed this podcast. I needed something. I needed something personally to be able to go, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick this ball up and I'm going to run with it. And I think I might have done it. I wanted to make something special. I genuinely did. This has never been about it's never been about me. Let's get that absolutely straight. It's never ever been about me. I've always wanted to make this podcast for you. I've wanted to make this podcast for the people, for the community, because I get so much from this community myself that I wanted to kind of give something back as well. And that's why I try to produce so much content. That's why I realistically spend so much time doing these podcasts. I'm going to be real with you. These podcasts take a lot of time. They take a lot of time. They take a lot of effort. There's a cost as well. Let's be absolutely upfront and honest. And I wouldn't do this unless I loved it. And I absolutely love this podcast. I love every single time I put an episode out that the amount of people who interact with me and say that they've enjoyed the podcast, or it sparks a conversation about something in Orlando that you've done or I've done or someone else's experience. It's amazing. It really, really is. And the amount of people who share every episode and share that they've been listening to it. And when people message me and say amazing things, such as it gives them motivation to kind of go out on walks or go to the gym, or when they're on their drive to work in the morning, and it's that they look forward to the podcast, stuff like that. Honestly, it hits me. It really, really does, because it means so much. It means so much to hear those kind of comments from people. I cannot thank you all enough. I cannot. And I always try, and I'll always try to thank everybody individually. I reply to every message. I reply to every comment. I will reshare anything and everything that everybody tags me in, because I want to say thank you, and because I genuinely do appreciate it. And this podcast is just starting. We might be 50 episodes in, but I have got ideas for months, for years. When I say that, I sent the message out for this episode 6 weeks ago, I came up with the idea for this episode probably 3 months ago. We were on about episode 25 when I came up with the idea for this episode. That's how far ahead I am trying to come up with content for this channel, so that we can have hopefully amazing content out there. So genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. Thank you, like, so much. Keep listening, keep sharing. The YouTube, hopefully the YouTube is about to start taking off a little bit more. The vlogs are going to be coming. That, mark my words, the vlogs are going to be coming at some point, as soon as I can do it. And obviously we've got the Orlando Adventures and Beyond series as well. So there might be more scope with potential vlogs down that capacity as well. Let's see what happens. But again, you've all been the best. You've all been incredible. If you're watching on YouTube, then do stay on for a little bit extra, because there's some special stuff coming. If you're listening to the podcast, thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will speak to you in the next one.